Welcome back to my kitchen. So tonight we are having Moroccan food. How fun is that? I saw somebody making Moroccan meatballs online the other day and I thought, oh my gosh, I gotta try to make that for my people. I've never made Moroccan meatballs, but I looked at the ingredients. I know how to make a meatball and they look like they're gonna be delicious. So this is another one we're gonna do together and try it and see if we like it. I'm gonna be serving this in a bowl and we're having Moroccan roasted vegetables to go with it on a bed of couscous. I think we're gonna love it. One of the things that makes this food so exciting are all of these spices. We have turmeric, ground cumin, paprika. Today I'm using Aleppo pepper, but you can use chili powder instead if you don't have Aleppo pepper. And we also have a little bit of cinnamon. And that combo is totally cool. The first thing we're gonna do to get started is prep all of our ingredients. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm going after the onions. And I know if you've been following me, you know I wear these onion goggles. The first onion I am just going to dice. That one is going to be for the sauce. So I just cut it in half, give it a little horizontal slice, watch your hands, and then give it a little chop and a little dice. So I'm gonna put them in this bowl. I love this little scooper. A friend of mine got it for me and I absolutely love it. I think it's called like a food taxi or something. Okay, there's the onions for my sauce. And I'm really not looking forward to this. You know, as much as I don't want to grate an onion, and I really don't want to grate an onion, I do think that that's going to be a really good method for getting the onions into this meatball in a nice size so that it keeps the meatball really tender and that we don't have big chunks of onions. You know, we've talked before about pre-cooking the onions and letting them cool, sauteing them, and I could do that, but I think I am gonna grate this onion against my better judgment because I'm already dying from the onions. So I just got my grater here and I left the stem on here so that I have something to hold on to. And it doesn't take long, and I really don't think you want to use the food processor for this. It might make the onion a little too wet if you do that. I'm almost there. I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm feeling like I'm being a little brave. I ask you to be brave, but I do not ask you to be any more brave than I'm being. And look at that, grated onion. So then we're just gonna take this grated onion and put it into this bowl. I don't think this dish gets any harder than dealing with those onions. I think the rest of it's downhill from here. So what we're gonna do is start mixing up our spices. 2 teaspoons of ground cumin. When in doubt, round your teaspoon. 2 teaspoons of paprika. This is not smoked paprika, this is regular paprika. 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric. And we're gonna do a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. The aromatics in this are fabulous. Don't worry about putting cinnamon in with your ground beef. Once you try it, you're gonna love it. And we're gonna do 1/2 teaspoon of this Aleppo pepper. And as I said, if you don't have Aleppo pepper, go ahead and use chili powder. 1 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Look at my spices for my sauce. It's time to make the spice mixture for the meatballs. 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 tablespoon of paprika, and 1.5 teaspoons of ground cumin, and a 1/2 teaspoon of Aleppo pepper or chili powder. Here's another little bowl of goodness for my meatballs. So I'm gonna put those by the onions that go with the meatballs. You know, and I just love experimenting in the kitchen. You know, this is like in an effort not to be bored. I don't want to be bored when I eat. I'm trying to eat healthy. I've said it a million times, and this is how you do it. You know, you find good high protein, high fiber ingredients, and you find new ways to spice them up and present them. And, you know, that's what I'm here trying to do for you guys. I'm just trying to give you some new ideas. Okay, that's my garlic. And the other thing I'm gonna prep is some cilantro. I know a lot of people don't like cilantro, so you could probably just leave it out or maybe even use a little bit of ground coriander. But if you really don't like the flavor, don't use it. But we like it here, and I really do think it's gonna add a lot to these dishes. I really do. So I'm using pretty much like half the bunch. So I'm just giving this a little chop, Some of it's going in a little bit of here and a little bit of there, and some of it's gonna be garnish. This in my bowl. So now I'm gonna make the mixture for my meatballs. And because I did all that prep ahead of time, this comes together also really fast. This is 1 pound of 85/15 ground beef. That's what I like to use. You can use leaner beef if you want. These are those onions that I grated. Those are going in. Here is 2 cloves of garlic that I chopped. And these are all those spices that I mixed together for the meatballs, so they're going in. I'm just going in with my hands. One of the things I like to do, because I am tracking my macros, not everybody is, and it's okay, but I am. I like to count how many meatballs I'm making. Then I know if this serves 4, like how many meatballs I get. So I'm gonna make this into 24 small meatballs. And that way I know that my portion is 6 meatballs. And that's a really good way to portion something like meatballs. And I really think the easiest way to do that is just using like a scoop like this. It's like a little cookie scoop. And I just start by laying them out in piles. And I'll do 24 piles and then even them out. Check this out, it gave me 23, but I'm just gonna try to make 24. So I'm just sort of checking the meatballs, and maybe some that have a little more meat than others, I'm gonna just take a little extra from it and make an extra meatball. A little bit of that meatball can come to the party. A little bit of this meatball can come to the party. You could go crazy and weigh them each, make sure they're perfect, but I don't actually go that crazy. But I do want 24. I like to wet my hands with water. I think it makes it so much easier to deal with meat because it can get kind of sticky. And I can feel in my hands as I'm just working through this top row that all these feel pretty close to the same size. I'm gonna get started on my sauce now. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of olive oil. These are the onions that I chopped. Get those going in that oil. Look at these onions, all nice and cooked. I'm gonna add all the spices I made for my sauce. And we don't want these to burn, but we do want them to open up a little bit. So I'm just gonna mix these in with these onions just for like a few seconds, not even a whole minute, just to open them up. And boy, the smell is fantastic. Here I have a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, and everything I need was in that bowl of spices. Look at that. The salt was in there, all the seasonings, all done. Okay, my sauce is simmering. So now I'm just gonna turn it down to really, really low heat, and I'm gonna just put the cover on and let it cook. So here I have a non-stick pan for my meatballs, and I'm just gonna give it a spray. And I'm just gonna put my meatballs in. Okay, let's check our meatballs. Yes, one side browned. Give them a little turn. This does not take very long at all. Okay, now that I'm looking at this, I'm thinking I didn't need any oil in this pan at all, because, you know, ground beef. So I'm just giving them their final turn before they take a dip in the sauce. These meatballs are done. Ooh, look at that sauce. Time to put the meatballs in the sauce. I'm not going to put the grease in there. Just the meatballs, and I'm just going to drop them in. And they're going to cook right in this delicious sauce. And the meatballs are flavored, and the sauce is flavored, and it's layer upon layer of goodness. Let's nestle them all in there. Okay, all 24 made it. Just going to give them just a little gentle toss. Remember, they're not cooked all the way through, so you don't want them to fall apart. Just get them down into that sauce. Oh boy, it smells really good. And I'm just gonna put the lid back on. Okay, we're gonna check these meatballs. Yum. Okay, so what I think I am gonna do is add a little handful of this cilantro. And it's really good to do the fresh herbs like that at the end for a soft herb like cilantro or parsley. Okay, the meatballs are finished. Look at that. We've got our Moroccan meatballs with our Moroccan spiced roast veg. Let's taste a little bit of meatball. Yum, 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 yum. Wow, that is so good. This is really good. This is super fun, so not boring. And I made this on a weeknight. It wasn't that hard. I really hope you try Moroccan meatballs.